ISIL members struggling to preserve their so-called caliphate, which had been one of the extremist group's key recruitment tools. Focusing on toppling local Arab governments and amassing land set ISIL apart from al-Qaeda's obsession with striking Western targets and painting Muslims as victims fighting a defensive war. Until recently, ISIL had very much been a group on the offensive. But in Syria and here in Iraq, the land that ISIL controls is rapidly shrinking.
Even as the Battle of Mosul continues to rage and we can hear airstrikes overhead right now, people are already asking the question, what happens when ISIL's last stronghold in the country falls? Does it mean the end of the extremist group here in Iraq?
Not unless Iraq and Syria can bury the sectarian politics of the past. That's according to Mosul's former governor, who tells me the Sunni majority city might not have fallen to ISIL if it had not been garrisoned by government Shiite soldiers and militias which allegedly persecuted the local population.
I think it's one of the reasons that Mosul fall down, that there is no any guard from Mosul, or the Mosul people are not participate in their security.
It's a situation he wants to change in the northern region known as Nineveh.
It's the reasonable way to rebuild the security of Nineveh after the fight, that there is a guard from Nineveh who fight ISIS and who are ready to secure Nineveh.
ISIL originally arose out of al-Qaeda in Iraq, whose last leader was killed in 2010 to be replaced by Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
Unlike Osama bin Laden, whose leadership of al-Qaeda waned over the years, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi appears to remain firmly in control of ISIL.
As the leader of ISIL, also known as Daesh in Arabic, it was Baghdadi who quietly went about recruiting disgruntled former members of Saddam Hussein's largely Sunni Muslim regime, many of whom fought in the insurgency that followed the US-led invasion.
Many Iraqi from the Iraqi army and Iraqi intelligence and the Saddam regime now with Daesh. So those men have experience. And period 2003 till 2014, about 11 years, good practice in logistic, in tactics, in planning.
Baghdadi has also reportedly ensured the structure of ISIL will survive his death, even if it's just as a terrorist organization that doesn't govern any territory. That's the only option ISIL will have once the group's two strongholds, Mosul in Iraq and Raqqa in Syria, are ultimately recaptured. But the majority of analysts seem to agree that military action alone won't succeed.
If return to same policy, we shall see a new Daesh with good experience.
In Syria, a military victory by any side is still far from assured. In Iraq, the tide is turning and the government is trying to reassure all Iraqis that lessons have been learned and the future will be a more inclusive one in which extrajudicial killings allegedly carried out by the army and militias will come to an end. But only time will tell if the defeat of ISIL in its strongholds destroys its ability to regroup and exploit deep divisions in the future. Jack Barton, CGTN, Mosul.